Welcome, women entrepreneurs living child-free. Tiffany Kellogg here, and I am back. It is another Friday, and I am joined by another fabulous female. Today from North Georgia, we are joined by Janina. Welcome. So glad to have you.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So we're going to get right into things with this. Before you became a coach, you worked with a woman in an industry usually dominated by men. So how did that experience shape your work today? Let's dive right in.
Yeah, so this woman that I worked with, she was a lawyer, but she wasn't a lawyer that went directly to law school after right after she did her graduate. She didn't do that. She went to law school in her 30s, and so she had some life experience before she went to law school, and so those things bled over into when she started her own firm. She worked for a couple of people before in a couple of firms, but so I worked for a small business when I got out of school because I was a paralegal. And so the way that she worked was very different from what you typically hear of how attorneys worked, because she wanted to work to live, not necessarily to just work. So we did things like we didn't check our email until after lunch. If you got frustrated and you just couldn't absorb what you were reading anymore, then you went for a walk. There was no rigid, like you must be at your desk all the time. You did the things that you needed to do to take care of yourself mentally and emotionally so that the work actually got done. And it was very efficient. It was more efficient than people realized by taking a break. And I carried that along with me when I started my own business.
Yeah, I mean that for small business owners, that sounds like a dream kind of gig to have that level of awareness that just sitting at the desk isn't going to get it done. You got to get up. Now, I'm not trying to rhyme, but no, instead get up and go have some fun, and then you can come back and get it done. Like, it makes such a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what made you, because you were paralegal,
yep,
how did you go from paralegal to where you are today? Give us kind of take us through the journey that was, the last, I don't know, however many years of your life that is.
Yeah. So now, I guess when I started working there was 2010. And then I eventually became the bookkeeper as well. So I was doing paralegal work and bookkeeping work. The accountant trained me how to do that. And I developed a chronic illness in there. And my boss allowed me to change my hours so I could continue to work with her, which was absolutely amazing. But then I got better. So I picked more hours back up. Well, I didn't get better. I learned how to manage my chronic. That's how
there's a little bit of difference there, right?
Yes. Yes. There wasn't a light switch. It took years of figuring some things out, just changing my eating habits, figuring out what stress was, those types of things to help me to manage and be able to give more of myself rather than sleeping all the time, which is what the medication had done for me. So after I came back, I was good for about 4 or 5 years. And then I got married. And when I got married, I'm not sure exactly what happened. Marriage is amazing, but it's also stressful. It's a life change. And so my illness took a little bit of a backslide. And when I asked her to reduce my hours again, because I saw everything that went into the office, she told me no. And so my health is more important than I'm sorry if you don't know if you can hear the dog. And there she is.
Dog.
That's live for you.
Well, we are live, but hey, I feel like, we're child-free women. Most of us are used to a dog or a cat running through. It was funny. Somebody the other day was like, oh my gosh, I was on a Zoom and this person had all their kids in the background. She's like, I have no idea how she paid any attention. The dog was just really quick. It is totally fine. Most of us love dogs, so we're good to go. Okay. All right. So
yeah. So I left. So after I left, I took a few months off. My husband was like, just take a few months off, figure out what you want to do. And so I started a bookkeeping business, and that just closed out. in June of this year. So from 2019 to 2025, I had a bookkeeping business. It got to the point where it was a little bit too difficult for me to juggle. My clients weren't giving me what I needed. They weren't paying on time, even though contracts said this and that. And so I just stopped marketing it and let them fall off. And in the middle of that, my husband also has a chronic illness. He went into the hospital, and that just solidified, okay, bookkeeping is not for me anymore. And because of the deliverables and things like that. And so I had done some research on emotional intelligence before. And I was like, you know what? I mean, this is what I do with my family and friends anyways. Let's just start using that. And so I started with self-care and boundary setting. So I did that with women with chronic illnesses for a year or two. And then women that work from home. And now it's female entrepreneurs that are kind of in the messy middle, where I help them to use their cycle to schedule the tasks so that they have not just aligned with their business, but their business structure aligned with their energy levels.
Gotcha. And so I know you said, they're kind of using their cycle. So are you working with the women before things get crazy or after things get crazy when it comes to the cycle?
Well, it's generally after things get crazy. They don't normally feel like it's crazy. They feel like it's normal, right? They feel like, starting a business and running a business has its own overwhelm. I mean, it does, but there are ways to reduce that overwhelm by working with the natural energy cycles.
Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about more, or let's start first with what is emotional intelligence for people out there that have not heard of it yet. And y'all, there is no judgment. If this is your first time hearing emotional intelligence, and that's why I'm like, we all get exposed to things differently in our world and in our life. And if you don't have anybody yet that's done it, this might be your first time. And so sometimes people are like, oh, you haven't heard of that yet? Like, what's wrong with you? I'm of the mindset there is so much stuff out there. Like, I have no idea so much of this stuff. I've had emotional intelligence in my brain for a while now, but for some people, it's like brand new. Like, and what's funny, we'll see your thoughts. Like, I feel like anyone before they have a kid should read emotional intelligence. Like, and it's funny that I say that being as the child-free woman, but I do kind of feel like there's something about it.
Yeah, I agree, because it touches. So if we'll start from the beginning, then I guess awareness. Awareness is the number one thing that we are missing, really. Just knowing what our emotions even mean, or that they're even there, because a lot of times people will have interactions with people and they don't understand why the interaction turned out the way that it did, because they're not aware of how they are responding to other people. And that's really the crux of it, awareness. And then learning about how to have conversations with people in a way that keeps everyone nice and calm. Because people do have traumas that are triggered. And I just saw something the other day that made so much sense about the difference between being irritated or agitated and being triggered.
Okay.
So being triggered is when something happens and it brings up a past event that caused trauma.
Okay.
So, for instance, if your family was abusive, and you knew that when somebody slammed the door that something was going to happen, then when you're an adult, now when anyone slams the door, it brings back a flood of those emotions.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's a trigger. But sometimes you just get irritated by people's little quirks. So knowing the difference between those things.
So people are really overusing triggered, aren't they? Like, I feel like triggered is triggering me, but it's not. It's actually just irritating me because there is no trigger going on with it. But it's like everything is bothering. But yeah, okay. I love the idea that there is a distinction of.
Yeah.
This irritates me.
Right. And learning how to also set boundaries, and boundaries that are good for you, and not being afraid that people are going to back off. I also read, I read a book called Setting Boundaries Will Set You Free.
Okay.
Oh, such a good book. And one of the things that she said was that when you set boundaries, you're now giving people the permission to set boundaries as well.
Mm.
Because so many people just are they people please. That's part of emotional intelligence too, right? Is learning that what you're doing might be people pleasing rather than helping people, right? You're really hurting yourself when you're saying yes to everything where it should be maybe or no.
So I'm just randomly thinking over here, which is always dangerous, y'all. I wonder if child-free women are less likely to be people pleasers, or if child-free women by choice are less likely to be people pleasers, but child-free women by circumstance, like they it wasn't their choice, if maybe they're more natural people pleaser. Now I'm thinking, because I'm like, if we weren't willing to appease our mom or society to have kids, are we people pleasers? Now I'm gonna have to, like, now I'm thinking about,
That makes sense. But
we
also,
may need to do a social experiment here.
right. But people pleasing runs so deeply though,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know? So it may not be, that that's the case because it could be something so much deeper. Yeah.
Very interesting. All right. I always love these kind of like social experiments. Like, let's see, is there any behind it or no?
Yeah.
However, I know, you talked about like setting boundaries, and having the emotional intelligence, and boundaries, I think, is something that a lot of people have struggle with.
Mhm.
And again, I'm curious to see for child-free women. Maybe that's going to be the first part of the survey: is do you struggle with boundaries or no? Because I could
Yeah.
just be projecting myself of I'm good with boundaries, but I know not
Yeah.
everybody is. So you want to give us a tip or two if we want to be better with boundaries, or if we create them, actually enforce them?
Sure. Yeah. Because I find, though, that most women without children don't set boundaries, or they
Oh,
have them
okay.
and they let them. Yeah. And
Ah,
it's because they tend to have more time.
mm,
People don't look at them and say, oh, you're busy with your children. I won't bother you. But they have, like, especially when you work from home, people have a tendency to come and, say, oh, you're just at home. It's like, no,
right.
I'm working. I do still have things that I need to do. But I
Right.
feel like people are more, without children, have more availability. I
Gotcha.
talk with my sister about that a lot. She's like, so and so called and they want this, and she's like, and I just had to tell them no. It's like, we're like, well, good. That's the point. And the
So
more you
they, so
exercise
so
that,
the parents almost have to, in order to survive and thrive.
exactly, exactly. So I always say to take an inventory, really, of what are things that have happened in the past that you just really resent.
Mm,
Right. What is that? Like people coming over, or people calling you and say, talking to you on the phone all day long, um, or thinking that you can be the one to always run out
mm,
and, take care of mom and dad when you have siblings as well.
yeah.
Um, and really take that inventory of them, and sit down and maybe even journal why you feel that way, and what are the things that you can say no to, or say, I can take care of that later. Maybe the boundary doesn't mean that you say no. Maybe it just means that you say later. It could say, okay, I'm working right now, I can help you, but I can help you when I'm done with work. So not totally xing yourself or nixing yourself from that help, that assistance to others, but giving a balance or a boundary, and starting there. And then, if they still try to step on that, then you can go to a hard no.
Why do you think people push on the boundaries so often when we first lay them down?
Ooh, that is an excellent question. Well, if you always said yes, then that's new. It's new, and people don't like change. They don't like change. And they go, well, what? It makes them feel like you don't love them or that you don't care about them. Um, that's just how that goes. But you have to be strong enough within your resolve to say, you know what? This is what's good for me. I can still help you, but we have to do it within these parameters.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about, because it's holiday time? So I know I've been seeing lots of people posting on social, like, how do I tell so and so, whether it's the hostess or a family member, that I don't want to eat the delicious, unhealthy food that. And I know you're not the food person, but you're a boundary person, because it is. And I
Uh-huh.
hear, like, my mother-in-law used to be like, "All right, we're at the store. You want some candy?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want candy." And she's like, "That's like her love language." And
Yes.
we had a conversation. I'm like, "I don't want the candy because I don't want the temptation. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to be healthier. And so we're good. But again, I'm very vocal. And not everybody is like that. So, and
Right.
we don't always want to have a long conversation of why I don't want 26 cookies and cakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I always say that not everything deserves an explanation.
Mm,
Um, you can always just say, I want to come and spend time with you. That's why I'm here. But I will be bringing my own food. Sometimes like that's what has to happen. You have to bring your own food. I know that we do that actually quite often to things. It's just bring our own food or we eat beforehand. And then if there's something, one or two things that we can't eat that's there, then we do that. But otherwise, no, we're not going to do it. But by having that conversation, sometimes you'd have that conversation before you get to that point
mm,
and continually remind them that that's what's going to happen, then things seem to go better. And I did have someone ask me one time, well, like, it just feels like I'm taking so much responsibility by having to remind people about this. Like, why can't they just respect what I have going on and just let me be? Well, they've been doing the same thing over and over again, and you've been allowing that for a long time as well. So
yeah.
it's going to take time for both of you to get on the same page. So it is your responsibility to continually remind them, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm not going to do, but I still want to be there with you.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here thinking, why don't they just remember? And y'all, I mean, if you're married to someone, then they should remember all of your stuff. But they still have to get in the habit of the new things. But if it's just your friend, how many friends do you have? How much do you remember about? And I mean, back in the day when you had like one vegan or vegetarian friend, and you had one person that didn't drink, it was different. But now, like, half the population doesn't drink or doesn't drink
Yep.
alcohol, at least. There's a lot of people that are gluten free and sugar free,
Mm-hmm.
vegan and vegetarian, pescatarian and keto and carnivore and
All the things.
all the things. And moms call their kids by the wrong name all the time. So no, we do not
Yes.
remember exactly all your things.
Look, I was on the phone with my dad last night. He did this. I have two sisters. There's only three of us. He still called me. He just couldn't say, and I'm named after him. So if that, to your point, if they can't, I mean, he even started calling us 1, 2, and 3, still just to try to, and it didn't work.
It doesn't work.
So it's okay. Remind them they forgot. Let them know. Take care of yourself. Don't worry about them. Just take care of yourself.
Well, so you bring up, I love this conversation about boundaries, and we are here for entrepreneurs. So can you talk about what are some really great boundaries that entrepreneurs, and you don't have to give us all of them. You don't have to tell us how to do all of it, y'all. The point is not for her to give us everything, though she is going to give us a freedom blueprint a little bit later, but not yet. But can you tell us a few things that we may want boundaries in our life that may surprise us?
Yeah, well, especially for those of us that have service-based businesses, that have
Mhm.
clients that can reach out to us, having specific times for them to be able to reach out to us,
Mm.
or not having your email on your phone. That was like one of my like big things, especially because of the woman that I worked with,
Mm.
a lawyer that wasn't omnipresent for her clients, like she she didn't even have internet at home for a while. Like she was just like, no, I am not going to do this. So yeah, don't have if you do have your email on your phone, don't have the notifications on. You know, have that time that is your life be your lifetime, right? Um, if you have some type of Voxer or Telegram or something like that, if you're a coach, then make sure that you don't say, I'm going to respond immediately to every question that you have. You know, maybe give yourself a 24-hour limit, you know, or I'll respond within 24 hours. You know, those little tweaks really give you back your time and your energy and allow you to, for lack of a better term, control the narrative because it's your business, right? It's yours and they will be okay. And I'll just, you know, give a little bit, an experience from one of my clients. She decided to go, she had done this before where she was only scheduling calls every other week so that she could have like a week of calls and then a week off. And then, you know, and then she had gone back on it just because she was like, well, I have more clients. I need to have, you know, a little bit more time on my calendar. And then when she did that, she regretted it. And so
Right.
we started working together and she was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to that. And I'm like, perfect. And she went back to it on a Monday or the Friday before, but she hadn't blocked out the next week. And she got a new client and the new client scheduled on the Friday of the week off. And I was so proud of her because she actually called the client and said, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm so sorry. I forgot to block this off. Can you reschedule? She rescheduled. No problem. People will, if they want to work with you, they'll say, okay, and reschedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think somewhere along the way as entrepreneurs, we got so desperate for money to eat and to put gas in the car and to keep the roof over our head. And I am not in any way devaluing that.
Right.
To me, as we mature as business owners, the more mature we are in our business, the hope is the less of those that we're taking that are that low level. To me, anybody that's like, you've got to bend around me, they don't want you enough. If they want you enough, they will work at your schedule, at your whatever the cost will be. And anybody else, like to me, that's a boundary of, you know, hourly rate. Because I had somebody that came to me and said, Tiffany, you're too expensive for me to work with. And I said, I've got $200 a month to be in the community. They're like, I want one-on-one time with you. And I'm like, well, it's more than that. And they're like, I don't have it. And I'm like, you can come here or you find the money. And like, I get it and I respect it. I've been the broke entrepreneur that is scraping pennies together, which you don't get to do anymore in the US. Ha ha ha. No more
Right.
pennies.
I know.
I'm like, why didn't they just get rid of the nickels at the same time? Like we could have just dropped the cent and goes to like, anyway, sorry. I digress. Pennies are not the problem. They're a symptom of the problem. Seriously.
Yes.
Anyway, people not wanting to have kids is not the problem. It's a symptom of the problem. Like and I mean, there's lots of child-free people that do it for so many different reasons, but society is a big part of it. But it is not that we don't want to have kids. It's the issue. It's that the society is an issue. And then some of them don't want to have kids. Fix society. Maybe people want to have more kids, y'all. Anyway, I don't know why I got into that. So we are going to go to your gift. I think we were talking. Is there anything we were saying that I needed to follow up on? I'm not leaving you hanging on anything, am I?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Tell us about your gift, and maybe I'm accepting of the fact that I have foggy brain, and I may have foggy brain for the next 10 years, and I am just going with it, y'all, because there is nothing I can do about it.
It sounds good to me. I do it all the time.
Yeah. So talk to us about the Freedom Blueprint. And y'all, if you're like going to try and type this out, as always, when we're here on Fridays, wherever you're watching this, in the description is this link you can click on, or you can type it out. Totally.
I know it's really long.
And that's why I tell them it's in the description. It's in the description. There you go.
Yes. So the Freedom Blueprint is a clarity guide. Okay. As we were talking before, I work with women with with their menstrual cycles to help build their business structure around their menstrual cycle. It goes through the tasks that you are the strongest at during each phase of your cycle. And so it goes through what the tasks are, gives you suggestions, gives you a place for you to write down what your business tasks are that you're going to complete, your specific ones, a place for you to reflect, and then a place say, okay, well, what am I planning to do differently next cycle? So that way you have this guide of, okay, I have a launch, but I don't want to launch it in menstrual. Like I don't want to deliver in menstrual, right? Because that's when we're the rest time, right? So it gives you a way to have that clarity to see it on a screen, or if you can print it out or have it in some, and write on it.
We can look at it in some way, shape, or form, however we want to
Yes.
look at it.
And really write in there everything that you need to do, brain dump it, and then put it in the phase where you're strongest at. And that way it runs smoothly, and you can do your whole business this way. And I use it myself. It's really helpful.
Awesome. So y'all, you can go online, click on the link, download the Freedom Blueprint. That is your gift today. Can you tell us if we're interested, we want to learn more about you, work with you, how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, so my my Instagram handle is Janina H Coaching. And then also my email is janina@janinahamilton.com. So, yep.
Well, that makes it nice and easy. And I do have to say, it's always fun talking to different women entrepreneur, child-free coaches, because I find that the child-free coaches are the most unique in ways that, like, in just ways of really specializing and going into things. Because, there's plenty of people that talk about, let me help you in your business, but not let me help you in your business that takes into account what all is going on here, and that can make a huge difference. I love the fact that you're here to share this. And y'all, if you're looking to connect with other women entrepreneur living child free, come hang out on our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups, Women Entrepreneur Living Child Free. We are there. We are doing some fun things, networking, hanging out. I'm sure we're going to do something fun later this month for the holidays. And know that every third Tuesday of the month, we are at our new time and day of the week. That is the third Tuesday of every month from 11:05 a.m. to 12:55 p.m. on, again, the third Tuesday Eastern time. So you have a little bit of time in the beginning and the end. If you have to do other meetings, we'll come in and network with with more amazing women. Janina, let me ask you, what excites you about getting the opportunity to network with other child-free women?
Just the understanding that just because we don't have children doesn't mean that we can't help people, especially as a coach, because sometimes people think that you have to be juggling other things in order to understand how to help. We don't have to do that. We don't have to juggle all of the things. So just to know that other people understand that's nice.
Awesome. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on here and sharing. It has been a pleasure getting to learn more about you, what you do, these practices that this early attorney was helping. So those of you out there, as you're bringing employees in, you are creating the impact. You are creating with people. And if you're child-free, sometimes it's like, what is the legacy that we get? We can do this through our business. And that attorney is creating a legacy here. We are creating legacies in so many different ways. You are creating legacies by helping women really figure out the best freedom to have within their business. So thank you so very much for being here. It was a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.